Hello there, folks. Today I have the privilege of showing you an awesome new game that's just now coming out, and it's Frontline Panzer Blitzkrieg. Now, we're going to jump into this game, into the campaign, 30 different missions focusing on extremely important battles of the war, and I can't wait to see what's going to be offered here. So, you can of course go ahead and get started on the tutorial to fully understand the game, and the tutorial is pretty straightforward and explains some of the basic or more important parts of the game itself. So currently we're going to actually take a look at this tutorial, get through it, and then of course move on to the next part of the game, which would be the first mission. Alright guys, now we are here in Kaunas, and of course our biggest hurdles are going to be eliminating all opposing enemy forces. We also have to use the snipe ability. One thing about this game is that special abilities are extremely important, and of course certain units have more important special abilities, or more interesting special abilities than others. We also need to go ahead and recruit a new unit. And here we go, Germany launches Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of Soviet Russia. This is the largest invasion in human history. Over 3 million soldiers, 19 panzer divisions, 3,000 tanks, 2,500 aircraft, 7,000 artillery pieces, and 750,000 horses. Can't forget about those horses, guys. Invade the USSR along a 3,000-kilometer front. This is part of Hitler's bigger scheme of providing more living space and raw materials for the German nation. So, of course, a total surprise to Joseph Stalin, and hopefully that's exactly what's going to work in our favor here. Looks like Gunter is going to be our advisor, and I just have to say, I really love the art style so far of the squads. It very much reminds me of, like, painted miniatures. What we're going to do is just take a look at this actual unit. So it sort of shows us its bonuses, its negatives, etc. You can see against an artillery unit or against an infantry unit, it's actually going to perform quite well. I'm guessing that we want to go ahead and try and get as close to as possible to the enemy. So let's go ahead, push forward here, and absolutely smash the Soviets. Absolutely beautiful, guys. It looks like we get a second attack once again. What I want to do is actually go ahead and grab Vilkazivskis. So we just saw the initiative bonus there, and I'm assuming what that is that since we destroyed a unit, we get an opportunity to go ahead and destroy another unit. Now, this is a turn-based game, so let's end the turn, and let's also watch out for this Soviet scout car and that Soviet machine gun. Alright, folks. So let's go ahead and take the town of Vilkaviskis. I think that's going to be ours, and over here it looks like we get some extra resources. We want to take out the enemy BA-64. Now that would be the enemy scout car, of course. I'm going to see if we can't just fire from this distance. So I love to know that. You know, these guys do have sniper rifles. They're not going to be just like standard Wehrmacht infantry. They can actually hit units at quite a distance, up to 2 tiles away. So paratroopers use their snipe abilities to take out enemies from a distance. Let's go ahead and see if that snipe ability works, and it certainly does. Look at how far we can shoot, and let's try to take out that Maxim heavy machine gun that the Soviets are so fond of. I think we're going to get to Kaunas in no time whatsoever. Alright guys, a fair victory. So there we go. We could have recruited a new unit, which would have boosted our actual points there in that first battle, but that's okay. I like the start, and I can't wait to see what's coming up next. So the Battle of Brest-Litovsk, a very, very famous fight here, and one that is certainly going to be a challenge. The Brest Fortress is the first of the many obstacles Germany has to overcome in Russia. Situated on an island at the confluence of Bug and Mukavets River, this star-shaped fortification was built during 1830 to 1842 as part of the fortification system on the western border of the Russian Empire. Now, this actual building had a citadel in the center, and even after the Russians had broken, or I should say the Germans had broken past Soviet lines, Brest Fortress was still occupied by Soviet forces. There have been a number of books and movies made on this actual battle, and that is a fortress that the Soviets managed to hold for a very, very long time. So we want to take it from them, and take it from them quickly to deny them any sort of Pyrrhic victory here, or Pyrrhic defeat, I should say. We're going to capture the Brest Fortress, we're going to try to capture the silo, and we're going to try to resupply one of our existing units. And just look at our starting point here. I love it. We've also got this wonderful Karl Gerhardt artillery piece. I can't wait to use this against the defenders. In fact, I think we want to go ahead and use it against the enemy tank right here. and that worked out pretty well. I think I'll also push forward with the Panzer III and try and wipe it out. Now, this is interesting. It's actually showing us that some units are sitting in open ground. Shallow river swamps and bridges expose the unit to extra damage, whereas forest towns and natural barricades grant extra protection. So while these guys are out in the open, particularly this enemy tank, I want to go ahead and utterly destroy this unit, stop them from being a problem at all. We've also got some scout cars over here in the open, and I'm guessing we should push forward with them and immediately engage the Soviets. Yeah, I thought we would almost certainly have the upper hand. The only thing I didn't consider is that the Soviets have an AT gun right there. Another thing our Sturmbataillon has right here, guys, is the charge ability. And against infantry, this is extremely useful, as you can imagine. I'm not sure if we can use it against an actual artillery piece, but it looks like we can, and possibly wipe them out with one attack for Germany. That is going to be wonderful. So once again, we get an additional attack. That's the initiative bonus due to that successful first attack. I think we should go ahead and attack the infantry and just wipe them out before they can cross the bridge. Speaking of the bridge, I'm kind of worried that the enemy's going to do something to stop us from crossing it, maybe destroying the bridge, etc. Just not sure as to what they're capable of. I'm also seeing a parachute drop here, and I'm thinking we can pick that up. So I am going to go over here, see what we've got, and it looks like we got an actual bonus here to our tank unit. Let's push forward with some more Wehrmacht and just wipe out the infantry. We're not going to have to worry about them anymore. And I think at this point, we can certainly go ahead and end the turn. Look at this. A Panzerjäger. A Junkers 87. You know what? I'm going to have to purchase a Panzer III, guys. I think it's going to be important here, especially as we advance forward. And the good news here is we can actually start moving right away. We don't have to wait a turn or anything like that. We can get our move on instantly. Now, I would go ahead and get a Junkers, but frankly, I don't believe we have an airfield in this particular mission, so we should try to make do with what we've got. And if we get a Fallschirmjäger unit, I absolutely love this. We can actually drop behind enemy lines. So essentially dropping our paratroopers here behind enemy lines and trying to take them out from behind. And I think that's probably going to be a good idea. Let's go ahead. Looks like our boys are dropping in. Absolutely wonderful. We've got some Soviet snipers here, and I'd like to make short work of them. We could also fire at the unit all the way over here, specifically a mortar unit. I do think it's going to be a problem, but we're facing snipers right here on the edge of the woods, so I'm not so sure what's even more dangerous. I'll open fire at the mortar, just because it looks like a good attack. It's not as effective as I'd like it to be, but I'm bringing in some more Fallschirmjägers, and hopefully they save the day behind the lines here. We really need them to do an amazing job. I'd love to use that incendiary ability, but we don't currently have it. And we could attack the other snipers or try to finish off this unit, or even better, maybe damage the units right here on the edge of the river and save the rest of our men a lot of trouble. But I think the most responsible thing to do is to engage their sniper unit and try and take it out. I'm going to get a little farther from the scout car, and I'm going to commence my attack. Now, we've still got points to spend, so we don't have to give up now. In fact, we could probably even bring in another Fallschirmjäger unit. So I am making a big use of this actual unit during this particular battle, but I think it's going to be worth it. Beautiful. We also got an initiative bonus, guys. Now, unfortunately, the initiative bonus does not allow us to use our special ability if we've already attacked, and I guess that kind of makes sense. What I'd like to do is take out that mortar. So we'll get out here, open fire on the mortar team, and we just caused some critical damage. Also got another initiative boost, which is pretty amazing. And I think even though our weapons are not particularly effective against armored cars, I'm going to open fire here on this guy. Not too bad, better than nothing. And in fact, we could even get to the city over here, if I'm not mistaken, or the silo. So we have captured the silo, but with just a single unit, I'm not so sure we can hold this thing forever. We'll do what we can. Wouldn't be bad to bring out the Sturmpanzer. This is sort of, in this particular case, I think it would act as an artillery unit. So I will bring the Sturmpanzer forward. And I think it can actually go ahead and just wipe out some of this Soviet armor. Not bad. Now, we've got to be careful because I'm looking over here and I'm seeing some actual Soviet pioneers in an area I thought was completely open to our attack. So we definitely want to keep our eyes open, maybe even bring in another Panzer III. I think we're fine on infantry. I mean, we've got so many Fallschirmjägers, etc. So I'm actually going to take this Panzer III and speed towards that paradrop, and hopefully we get some good stuff out of it. And with the Karl Gerald, I think the best thing to do with this thing is just get it as close to the front lines as possible, because the devastating artillery strike from this thing can really, really wreak havoc on the Soviets in the city here. Pioneers, I knew they were going to be a problem, and it looks like more of Ivan's troops are actually coming down from the north, and coming down quite strong, believe it or not. So what I'm going to do here, I am going to push forward with the tank. Now, if we wanted to, another good option would be to entrench the unit pretty much on this side of the bridge, making it very difficult for the enemy to make it through at all. But I'm going to do you guys one better. I'm going to blitz through over here, grab that, then I'll attack this unit. Completely overrun their engineer squad, and I thought we were going to get an initiative bonus, but it looks like we didn't get one there. In the meantime, though, we still want to try and wipe out that infantry unit, or at least keep them from getting too close, and it looks like the Karl Gerald here can do some serious damage. Oh, wow. I didn't expect that to happen, but it looks like we actually completely destroyed the unit. I thought we were just going to damage it a little bit. Alright guys, so something to keep in mind, that enemy AT gun, it's going to be an issue as we get across, so let's see if our snipers can't do something about wiping that thing out before we even make it to this side of the Brest fortress. Now I'm looking across the actual river here and seeing a few big threats, and specifically the AT guns, but we've also got some enemy assault units over here which could cause us a lot of trouble, specifically to our tanks. What do I want to do about it? I want to get this Sturmpanzer forward, maybe even entrench him on this side of the river, though I don't really see the point there, but I am going to open fire on that Pak-36 and try to wipe him out entirely. And is that right? A Pak-36? So it looks like the Soviets here are actually using old or recommissioning German artillery pieces here. It's not surprising, but a little frustrating that they've got our weapons on that side of the river. Now let's also use our snipers here. We've got to be careful though, since we've got that scout car and he can certainly cause problems, but we still have this snipe ability. Unfortunately, it looks like we might have to get to the edge of the forest here to use it. Let's try again, and we're not going to be able to use it against the enemy AT infantry. I didn't know that, but definitely makes me change my initial approach. So let's hit this guy in the north, the assault infantry. Great shooting, men. And we're also going to do something interesting here. We're going to use an incendiary bomb against the actual unit. Unfortunately, it actually looks like we would take more casualties here as opposed to just a regular attack. So you know what? I'll just try to provide help from afar here. If we can't provide help from afar, we might need to just go ahead and either retreat or start attacking. And I think retreat might actually be the best option right now. We still have that snipe ability, but we're too far from the infantry to use it. Now, what about that incendiary ability? It's only going to be one tile away, so it's not going to be particularly useful to us right now. I really do want to get near this AT gun and open fire, but with that snipe ability, I think the next best thing is to get close enough to at least engage the scout car. And it looks like they deflected our damage. That's what happens when you go up against a scout car. Luckily, we've got our actual SDKFC over here. I'm going to go ahead and immediately do some damage. Now, this thing is really made more for infantry, as I know most of you are aware. But in this case, we are using it against an enemy BA-20 just because, well, we need to break through. So let's try to get to the other side of the river here. I want to make sure we fire with every single one of our artillery pieces. And I also want to make sure that we get those tanks across as soon as possible. To do that, though, we're going to have to wipe out the defenses on this side of the river. And that's not going to be an easy task. Nonetheless, we're up for it. So let's get over here. We could start an attack against the infantry. You know what? I'll take a few losses just to lower the amount of men in that unit. And I'll also try to get across here, but I'm not going to attack directly from a river tile. That just doesn't seem like a good idea. So it looks like we can go for a charge, throw incendiaries, or just attack the unit, but we wouldn't really do much damage. Although, who knows? Maybe we end up suppressing him. I don't think it could hurt. Alright, down to 6 friends, and we have plenty of points to spend here. I think it's time for us to bring in some more Fallschirmjägers. I really do love the Fallschirmjäger units here. I'm almost willing to say that they are currently winning us this battle against Ivan. But again, that close, maybe not such a great idea. And they have deflected that attack. Not something we want. So instead of bringing in Fallschirmjägers, let's focus on bringing in another Panzer III, especially since we apparently can launch the units from here now. It's a lot closer than what we had before. And we'll even get them on the bridge, just to make sure the enemy doesn't do any charges to try and destroy this bridge here. We can also open fire. Just wipe out some more of those defenders on the other side of the river. And even though I wouldn't usually do a river attack, I think since they're down to 1... I'm going for it. So let's push up with the Wehrmacht units. Standard Wehrmacht there with some MP40s. They've got a tough task ahead, but I think they can handle it. Beautifully done. We have an initiative bonus. Unfortunately, no other units really in the vicinity. We could try and do something a little risky, and that is send a tank against an anti-tank unit. I know it sounds absolutely stupid, but he's pretty badly damaged. And this is an opportunity to get a little closer to that T-34 right there. I think it's a T-34. No, it's a BT-5. Thankfully, we're not up against the T-34 quite yet. So I am going to push forward and just see what I can do here. And we can actually do quite a lot of damage without taking much damage in return. So that's exactly what I was looking for. And I'll even bring this tank in to completely mop up that unit. With the initiative boost, I guess we don't get an initiative boost there. If we did, we would, of course, immediately start attacking the assault infantry. As if you look up there at their stats, they're pretty good against enemy, or I should say our artillery. They're not particularly good against our armor at all, so I don't think they pose much of a threat. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. We'll soon find out. Looks like there might be a lack of ammunition here with the BA-20, the 45mm BA-20. That's going to work to our advantage. And in fact, even from a distance, I can open fire. But again, we'll probably get that deflected shot. So I'm not sure I want to go for that. I will get behind the enemy with the STKFC 232. And I'll try to open fire at the BA-20. It looks like we just barely were able to do some damage here. But I'd really rather leave this job to, you know, our tanks and not give it to our snipers here. It's just not what they excel at. What about that BT-5? So you can see, despite it being not the greatest tank in the world, against a Panzer I, it performs pretty well. We're going to need to bring up some better tanks, let's be honest, to actually take on that BT-5 and do anything. Now, we could also bring some supply to these damaged units. So I'm actually going to do it to this guy right here. And as you can see, by using supply, we can actually bring them back to full strength. But supply, like anything, actually costs supplies. So you're going to be definitely using a lot of this cost per benefit ratio as you get through the game. In this case, we absolutely need to upgrade those units, make them as strong as possible. We're also going to push out with our Wehrmacht. And I think they can even use their incendiaries against the enemy and maybe not take any damage whatsoever. Beautifully done there by the Wehrmacht unit. We even get an initiative boost. Oh, we don't. So if we use a special ability, we just don't get that initiative boost. I guess that makes sense, although I would love to have used that against this particular enemy unit. Let's push those units deeper into the forest, get that Panzer III across the actual forest, or the actual bridge, I should say, and also open fire from a distance at the scout car. It looks like the scout car is not deflecting rounds nearly as well as it was before, and I can actually go ahead and destroy it probably with the Fallschirmjäger unit, but I'm actually a little more concerned with the enemy anti-tank gun over here. So I'm going to push forward. I'm actually going to see if I can just use my snipe ability. The snipe ability could take the unit out all the way in the north. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm just going to open fire right there on top of the gun. And again, we've gotten rid of another bit of resistance or defense here for the Soviets. We might even be able to follow up with a kill on the BT-64. That is a dead BT-64 and another initiative bonus, 2 in a row, and now we're going straight for the BT-5. Now, I knew we weren't going to be able to destroy him this unit, but I have to say, this particular unit is performing so well, these Fallschirmjägers. They're absolutely winning the battle for us. But we've got to be careful, because as you can see, they're now low on ammunition. We might need to resupply them, as they're pretty far from the front line. And we want to get some resupplies, or some supplies to them. We want to get them some ammunition, and maybe not have them do any more crazy fighting for the rest of the battle. I think they've done enough, and hopefully don't need to do much more. We've almost completely destroyed that position on the other side of the river. And with our beautiful Karl Gerhardt, I'm actually going to go ahead and fire at the enemy BT-5. I don't think they have much left in terms of armor if we can destroy that thing. So that right now is a huge, huge reason for me to continue this attack. Also going to purchase another Sturmbataillon just in case we need some additional infantry forces. Although I think we're going to be just fine. Okay, so snipers here. And this might be the last Soviet stand at Brest Fortress. I'm immediately going to push forward. Looks like they also got some reinforcements here for their unit. Let's make sure that that isn't an issue. We've absolutely just laid this area out with artillery, with shells. We fired both from the Sturmpanzer and the Karl Gerhardt. So these guys have been hit so hard that they probably don't even know what's ahead of them, what's behind them. They must be in a state of total confusion. To make sure they don't come back and try to fight back against our units, we'll move in with the Wehrmacht to mop up this position. Alright, another initiative bonus. Unfortunately, we're out of range of these other enemy units, but that's okay. We've got this tank. We're going to go ahead and destroy the enemy tank, and we'll start moving forward with our Wehrmacht. As you can see, we are low on ammunition, but I don't think it much matters in this final push to take the city, or to take the fortress, really. Let's go ahead, move in with the Panzer 1A, and see if victory is ours. All right, my friends, my guys. I was going to say my comrades, but I think my friends should suffice. So, we shall move forward here, Kameraden, and get on to the next battle. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to let us know in the comments down below. Hit that like button, and of course, hit that subscribe button if you're new to our channel here.